Hello, everybody out there. This is Robert Price, owner of Elite Minds, getting ready to begin this Thursday's live. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we are also on Instagram and ready to go as well there. Give people a few moments to hop in. Um, so we're getting ready to get ourselves going. Let things get going in the group. All right. Looks like we have everybody hopping in. Thank you guys again for hopping in here with me today. Um, First few days of February. All right. We're making sure that we are live on Instagram as well. Okay, I see some folks in there. Just wanted to make sure we don't have difficulties getting all these systems logged in and joined. Scott Selby, my friend, how are you doing? All right, so we're going to get ready to get started. We're going to be talking this evening about one of the pretty cool things that have been going on as I have been beginning this process of working just in this field, but really more importantly with junior golfers and professionals as well. But one of the things what I'm looking to accomplish is to make sure that we are um, paying attention with how our juniors' strategy is on the golf course. And so we want to make sure that we are looking at that, that we understand what is actually going on out there, and that we are really able to create some tracking measures for them, so that way we know exactly what is going on in that space. So Um, I'm just gonna again just make sure that we are everywhere we need to be. I see some folks logging in there to YouTube as well. So good to see you guys there. Um, awesome. I think perfect. So yes, here we go. Sorry about that. I wanted to just make sure everybody was in place, which is always exciting with this good stuff. So everybody looks like they're there. So one of the things that I want to make sure that as we go along is, how do we make sure that with our juniors practice strategy that it is not just for skill development. Okay. At some point in the beginning of their journey, it is, and it's just like that in every sport. There's a beginning space of skill development, of making sure that our athletes have all of those skills that are crucial to them, so that way that they are tracking and doing the things that they need to do. Once that is developed, and remembering that it is a process that too it goes on and on. I mean, the professionals spend time working on development of skills or things specific to them, so that way they are capable, able, and ready to do certain things. But speaking to that, we're going to make sure that if we don't cultivate the mental performance foundation from the beginning, that we are actually setting our kids up for some future failures. And we've all been there. I have Many of you know I have four kids, but two of them do golf. The third one is thinking about it as well. So he's kind of getting started, my youngest. And so, one of the things we want to be able to cultivate from the beginning truly is a mental performance foundation that is robust, that is adaptable under pressure, win the game, win the tournament, when the performance needs to happen and take place. And so, one of the things that I want to make sure that we are on point with this evening really is understanding, like, hey, if we are able to begin a deliberate practice strategy, we can ensure that not only are we refining their technical abilities, but also learning to manage their mindset on the course. And so, we, as parents, we may or may not have played golf or understand that sport specifically when they get started, but really to be able to start asking and creating a very deliberate and intentional practice strategy. Now, I'm going to talk tonight just for about 20 or so minutes about the differences of going out, having fun, and just enjoying what it is that you're doing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And so we want to make sure that is something that we will talk about and enjoy as well. So that's one of the things that I know that will take off. So one of the things that when I talk about this is that we look at effective practice, right? That it has to go beyond repetitive motion or just hitting balls for hours on end. It's like we have to start understanding, how do we um, change that style of practice. And you start to see this actually in the beginning in some first tee or Operation 36 programs, where they're looking at creative ways for the kids to have fun and pick up the game of golf. And at some point, maybe it's once someone believes they have skill acquisition, they decide that, well, I don't need to alter things, that I don't need to change how that beginning, practices or beginning time with the game started. So one of the things that I know for sure is this, is that if we start creating scenarios that challenge the mental resilience and the strategy that our juniors are thinking out there, then we can start getting them some of those core elements of what the champion mindset, similar to some of the things that I love teaching in the program that I have athletes in, is how do we go about creating the champion mindset with these elements of resilience and strategy or strategic thinking. And so we know early on, like, we like to have fun and do those things while we're out there golfing. But one of the things that we also need to be mindful of or be following along is, how do we create practice and create a strategy with practice that's enjoyable, number one. Number two, that creates these opportunities for our kids to become strategic in their thinking process. So I like to give an example of when we were in first tee. So in first tee, I remember there being this long um, line or rope that was down on the putting green. And so the kids were told to roll the ball to the line, and it was a game. Well, somehow we lose that fun in lag putting because we could take that same drill and use that in our practice often, right? Whether we use a string, whether we use there's those red circles that are out there, or ball markers or tees sometimes, whatever those things might be. But we can incorporate those things actually in our practice on course. And so instead of just hanging out on the range all day, or around, maybe if we have a short game area at our place, we can start creating opportunities for ourselves to really start building the mental resilience that's necessary, and getting creative with that strategic thinking. So if you're out there and you're following along with me, you now know, like, practice should be almost I call it a laboratory of events, right? So we should literally be using that, or teaching how to use that as a laboratory of growth. We know that tournaments will come and tournaments will go. And many times our kids often share with us, like, oh, this is so interesting. I didn't have that shot, or I didn't know what to do in that moment. But we can begin creating some of those things, that creative stuff, in their actual practice. And if we do that, then the whole key here, especially if you're a parent listening, is to ensure that you track, or have your junior track, their performance while having these types of strategies, these practice strategies. Because as we get more and more involved, whether it's through Decade or other ideas around how do we play the game out on the course, especially when pressure arises, then we need to have had these earlier phases built into our game, just like the skill development. So we need to cultivate that mental performance foundation, so that way we are adaptable under the pressure. Super, super important. And if there's questions, please throw them in the chat. If you're on Instagram, throw them in there as well. I will respond to those as well. So one of the things we often are working and looking and trying to continue to stay on is, how are we tracking our children's performance in game, in practice? Because once we do that, we now know specifically about how we can go ahead and manage their progress, their growth. Okay. So again, just thinking about this, I like to work with players around the way they think, and knowing that the way they think drives how they feel and what they do. And so that is so crucial, because once we know that, how they think, and it's driving what they feel and what they do, we can start cultivating the mindset of a champion, and we start teaching our children those strategic resets. We start teaching our children how to actually have some ability to bounce back sometimes from setbacks or challenges, because we actually create these challenges in their training, in their practice. And so one of the things that's so important is to be able to start creating these opportunities for them. If we do that, then what we know is going to happen is that our golfer is absolutely going to be able to grow in a way that is a lot more effective for them. And there we'll start to develop some of those resilient strategies that they need, in starting to incorporate a little bit of the mindset of a champion. The beautiful thing that I get to do with the mental playbook for my athletes is they're able to really take some skills that they may have. Sometimes they come with no skills, no resilient skills or strategies. Then we start questioning some of those wonderful things. And then from there, we actually start creating an individual game plan specific to them, so that way they're able to do the things that they're looking to do. So, one of the awesome things that I have is looking at and understanding, when we are out here um, trying to get our game on, how do we do that in a way that is uber effective? And so I'm excited about helping athletes, parents as well, being able to find creative ways to help their child start looking at their practice strategies, so that way they're able to then go from that, and really start to create these strategic opportunities for resilience, growth, and building. So one of the cool things that I want to share with you guys this evening is this. If we're thinking about cultivating this champion mindset, um, we must, as I shared, we must be able to, I call it, take some pauses, uh, be able to regain some control of the things that we're thinking, be able to approach situations with a more clear and effective mindset. So that might sound hard to do, which there is some challenge. That's why you would use an expert to do this. But the essential focus that I want to make sure that my athletes are doing is really getting them to understand, like, if we can go about looking at who versus the how. So, who we are, by obsessing over that who, we start to shift a little bit of those focuses, developing these strategies, not necessarily worry about how. The how sometimes puts us all the way in, I call it the end game, when we're looking at um, process, not as important as outcome. When you start asking yourself the how, the who is all about process. And so the process really is an opportunity for us to really begin building the things that they're needing right away. Especially for those who are looking to improve and increase and play in events that have even more meaning, is to be able to start recognizing, like, man, there's an opportunity here for our kids to really grow, really become more successful, because they actually are looking at and learning ways in which they can have these strategic resets. Okay. So, again, this evening really is all about looking at, hey, what is it that we're doing? What kind of practice strategies are we having for our junior golfer? We know that it's not only for skill development, but ultimately it is also for cultivating the mental performance foundations, so that we can become a little bit more adaptable under pressure. And so, part of this process is for folks to truly understand, through this playbook, how to actually do those things in real time, and while they're actually out on the golf course, in tournament play, under the gun sometimes, which allows them to be really, really successful. So, if we're able to kind of work through that process and understand where we're going and how we're going to accomplish that, then that's the beautiful thing that I get to do, every day. So, working with these athletes around, how do we go ahead and take some of those practice strategies, how do we infuse some of these mental skills inside of those practice strategies, those training opportunities, so that way we're going to get the biggest bang for our mental buck while we're actually in training, on the course or at the range. So a lot of this sometimes for us is, it's our responsibility really to help guide our players and help them understand that true champions truly are made from within. And we're going to have we're going to have opportunities and options to obviously get better and better technically. But one of the cool things that we know we have to continue to work through is having opportunities to build this mental performance foundation. And we do that, again, by changing the type of practice strategies that we have been so accustomed at having. So I really just wanted to take, 20 or so minutes of your time this evening, as we are on live in lots of different places. So I see folks on YouTube, in Facebook. Thank you guys for showing up there. I appreciate it. If there's any questions that anybody wanted to um, throw down, I will be more than willing to take those questions as we talk through and just kind of listen and learn what some parents out there may be experiencing. So I'll give a few moments for that. Yes, Ro, you're correct, man. The practice strategy is crucial for our juniors. It takes a lot of time, it seems like, for them to understand that. And I'll sh- I'll share just a conversation from a coach earlier, actually, around this was asking how actually can he take some of the things that I'm working with two of his players on his team in college and actually utilize those things for his team as far as practice is concerned. So I thought it was very interesting to be able to just collaborate with them to help them understand that there are creative ways to actually uh, practice or have different strategies within their structured practice for their players. So that way we can, again, get them tournament ready very quickly. Oftentimes, when schools are coming back into session, um, there usually is some challenges in that. So I also see that I had received a question a little earlier. I want to shout out Nicole Sims for this question. Um, so one of the things that we talk about is one of her questions is what are some resources to calm a child's nerves from shot to shot? I think that's a fantastic question, specifically to what we're talking about this evening. And so if we're able to create a practice strategy where there is essential pressure between shots, then that's how we practice that. So that way, when we get into tournaments, there are some things that are already in place, and we don't really need to um, make any of those changes. So I'm really excited about those opportunities to just continue to work with parents around these things and helping their juniors who are looking to play at that next level to create these types of strategies pre-tournament and for in tournament as well. Most important. So I appreciate you guys out there this evening. I don't see any other questions. I will look to see if there's any others. So with that, I get to sign off a little bit. For those of you who are listening for the first time, again, I have my website scrolling there, but I am have created a group on Facebook specifically for coaching and helping parents and their junior golfers with an opportunity to continue to just grow by giving them access to the mental playbook. So I look forward to seeing you there. In Facebook at Elite Minds LLC. I'm also obviously on Instagram at Elite Minds LLC. And so you can find me in any one of those two social media places and platforms. So that way we can continue to find effective practice strategies for your youth to allow them to get to that next level. So I'm really excited about doing that and helping you along the way. And with that being said, I'd like for you to have a wonderful evening.